that. I'm sorry. I think it's fine now. Forgive me for having to take care of a technical difficulty.
It's okay.
Ryan, after you pray, I think we're ready to go.
Okay. Father God, we thank you for today and the blessings you put out. Lord, thank you for the sunny weekend. Lord, you're distracted from our homework and we got to go outside and play for a little bit. God, I pray for this class time. Lord, may we be instructed. Lord, loving to you and to our neighbor, God. And I just pray and I thank and give thanks for the opportunity we have to work on this skill, Lord, that we may communicate your word better. So, Lord, may we acknowledge you here with us today, and Lord, may we give you praise. Lord, may we bless your name. Amen. Have you ever had poison oak? Who here has had poison oak? It's the worst. I was working at a friend's house, and I remember spraying poison oak, and I was walking through it. And me, because it was hot, I thought it'd be a good idea to wear shorts. Didn't know that I was going to be spraying poison oak, so I'm walking through it, and I'm spraying. And then I end up just starting getting itchy. It's really itchy. And I go, no! I know I've got it. So I lie, that night I'm lying in bed and I'm like, I want to itch it. I want to itch that scratch. It's the worst. It's like the most worst desire is to scratch something that itches so bad, knowing that when you scratch it, it will spread over your body. And so I'm laying in bed with my little sock, mittens on, not wanting to scratch. And I'm twisting, I'm turning, I'm sweating, and I can't sleep, and I'm just amped, and I'm so stressed because I'm scratchy, but I can't scratch because I know it'll do wrong. And finally, just give up. I rip off my socks, and I just go crazy, just scratching everywhere. The next morning I wake up, and I'm covered from head to toe in poison oak. So bad, I had to go to the doctors and get a shot. James is talking to a bunch of people who have plenty of itches to be scratched. He's talking to persecuted Jews, dispersed among the land. And they were tempted to do what they always wanted to do themselves: selfishness, partiality of others, worthless faith, not taming the tongue. Those were the issues they wanted to scratch. And it got even worse when they were walking through it. Because they had to be one way, but they really wanted to be another. They wanted to scratch their own itches. I have a question for you. What's the itch you want to scratch that you know you shouldn't be scratching? So as we turn to James 1:13 through 15, we'll see that our own self-seduction is the leading cause of our sin. I'll read with you. Let no one say when he is tempted, I am being tempted by God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, and he himself tempts no one. But each person is tempted when he is lured and enticed by his own desire. Then desire, when it is conceived, gives birth to death, to sin. And sin, when it is fully grown, brings forth death. Let's go back up to 13. We'll unpack it from there. Let no one say when he is tempted, I am being tempted by God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, and he himself tempts no one. See, their issue was they had this philosophy that the temptation in this passage is an evil temptation. It is evil intent, literally desiring wickedness. That's their temptation. And they were blaming God. James is a Jew, and he's writing to Jews. And Jews believed in the origin of evil. They needed to figure out where it came from. And so they knew they were tempted by the devil. But where did the devil get the idea for evil? And they knew they could be tempted by fallen angels, but if fallen angels tempted you, where did they get the idea for temptation, for evil? And if you tempt yourself, where did you get the idea to tempt yourself? Where did that evil come from? And they all knew about the first cause. The first cause was God. So they thought the evil originated from God. And so they thought that they were being tempted by God. James happens to disagree. Well, we'll find that soon. But in order to prove something, he has to disprove what they believe. And what he says is God cannot even be tempted by evil. And you see before and after, especially after 17, every good gift and every perfect gift is from above. Nothing bad comes from above. Go to John. Jesus and John says the same thing. Oh no, John and John says the same thing. John Baptist. For every good and perfect gift has come from him. So God cannot be tempted with evil because he is so good. Every good comes from him. Evil cannot come from him. You can't have light and darkness in the same vessel. And God tempts no one. But we always have been into blaming God. Go to Genesis. What is what the woman says? When God asks, what have you done? Or the man says, God asks, what have you done? And he says, the woman you gave me made me eat. He's blaming God. We've always blamed God. But James is telling us a different story. It's our own self-seduction that leads us to our sin. Verse 14. But each person is tempted when he is lured and enticed by his own desire. This is interesting. I've been looking up a lot. It says lured and desired is hunting and fishing language. And so lured is like the lure that you put on the end of your hook, and the bait is what you put on and you throw it in the water. And then fish come. And when fish finally see it, they desire and they want that. So they go and they grab it. When they grab it, they're hooked. And now you have all the power. And so as you set it out there, the fish gets hooked. And you start pulling them in, and they have no power. That's good. And I do like that, because that is good. I want to offer you a different way. Proverbs 7. So you can turn with me to Proverbs 7. Proverbs 7:6. For at the window of my house I have looked, and through my lattice I have seen among the simple, I have perceived among the youths a young man lacking sense. Passing along the streets near her corner, taking the road to her house in the twilight in the evening, at the time of night and darkness. And behold, a woman meets him dressed as a prostitute, wildly at heart. She is loud and wayward, and her feet do not stay at home. Now in the street, now in the market, in every corner she lies in the wait. She seizes him and kisses him. With a bold face she says to him, I had to offer sacrifices, and today I paid vows. So now I can come out to meet you, to seek you eagerly, and I have found you. I have spread my couch with coverings, colored linens from Egyptian linen. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill till morning. Let us delight ourselves with love. For my husband is not home, he is gone on a long journey. He took a bag with money with him, and at full moon he will come home. With much seductive speech she persuades him. Her smooth talk compels him. At once he follows her, as an ox goes to the slaughter, or a stag is caught fast, till an arrow pierces its liver. A bird rushes into a snare. He does not know that it will cost him his life. The young man is tempted by his own desire. He wants that prostitute, and the prostitute knows exactly what to do to grab him and hook him in. I want to offer you that as a better picture. Not because fishing is wrong, but because this one gets to the heart. It comes right up to you and it whispers in your ear, why don't you come with me? Why don't you come with me? And it pulls him. And it pulls him. And all of a sudden, you finally figure out. You've landed. You've arrived. Genesis 2, again, you don't need to go there. But the woman, when she looked at the fruit, she desired it. She desired what she wasn't supposed to have. Enticed and lured by your own desires. Desires here is the same throughout the whole entire, throughout 13 through 15. It's an evil desire. It's a wronging passion. It is a lust for what is forbidden. Let's go to 15. Then desire, when it has conceived, gives birth to sin. And sin, when it is fully grown, brings forth death. Desire leads to sin. This is the only... Then desire, when it is conceived, gives birth to sin. Desire, when it comes in, it's deep inside you. And James is using pregnancy language. He's saying when desires come in and it's planted, it can't conceive sin. through temptation, it can conceive the sin. This is the only abortion that I have, killing the desire before it is conceived in you to sin. And sin, when it's fully grown, brings forth death. So you have sin, as it conceives inside you, it grows inside you. And when the time comes, sin is born. When you fall into your temptation to what you want to do, what you know you shouldn't do, that itch you scratch. And sin, when it's fully grown, brings forth death. Fully grown is another word, another Greek term, fully grown, fully accomplished, at the end of its time. When sin's ultimate job is to kill you. Sin brings death. But what kind of death are we talking about? Are we talking about physical death? It can. But if we go back to Genesis 2, we'll see that sin and death, or the sin that leads to death, isn't necessarily physical death. See, the woman ate. And as she ate, she sinned, and then she gave it to man, and he sinned. And then they hid from God in their shame and in their fear. And they covered themselves in their shame. And when God came down, he said, "Where are you?" And he said, "I hid myself because I'm naked." And he says, "What did you do? And who told you you were naked?" And then he blames God, saying, "The woman you gave me made me eat of the fruit." And then the woman blames the serpent. And then God lists out his punishment. But his ultimate punishment was to take them out of the garden and set them in the east. East is like a physical language for separation. Jonah, in the book of Jonah, Jonah runs east to get away from God. The Spirit of the Lord departs the temple east. And he's telling us in that death that they died, God said that they would die when they ate the fruit. But the death they died was being separated from God. And that's the same death you and I die. When our desires conceives and they're inside us and they grow into this baby of sin. And when you give birth, when that sin baby is fully grown and accomplished, it will kill you. And it will bring death to your relationships with one another and with God. But what if we don't? It's from ourselves. What if we don't go to ourselves anymore? Go back to God. Sure, your self-seduction is the leading cause of your sin, but it doesn't have to be that way. James is telling them in verse 2, James 1, 2 through 4, "Count it joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds. For you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be complete and perfect, lacking in nothing." Trials and temptations, they come. You and I are broken and sinful, and they will come. Don't blame God, but it comes from yourself. But count it joy when you come into them. And persevere. Don't grumble against God. And it may come from you, but don't grumble against yourself. Fight. Persevere. Because when you are steadfast, when you persevere, when that baby of perseverance is fully grown, it will make you complete. And it will make you perfect. Lacking in nothing. It won't make you perfect, but it will make you more into God-likeness. And you will receive God. And God is the only perfect and complete thing. Because you see, our desires are a want, to fill a hole. And we try to fill our hole in the wrong ways. God is the ultimate hole filler. So if we go to God for our holes that we have, we'll be filled. We'll be complete, perfect, lacking nothing. Self-seduction is the leading cause of sin. But you don't have to follow that way. Come to God. Trust in God. And you'll be complete, perfect, lacking in nothing. Trials and temptations, they come. But come to God. Lay it at His feet.